Aloha, it's Robert with Blue Planet. We're doing another voiceover video with my buddies over here.
Jeff Chang.
Daniel Kaahanui.
Alright, so we're gonna do another video where we watch the footage and we talk about it as we go along. So here we go. So we're gonna just talk about the equipment that we use first. So Daniel, you want to start with the equipment that you're on?
So I'm on a 4.8 that Jeff Chang made out of a stand-up board, and I'm on a 5-meter ozone wasp wing, and the foil I'm using is a 200 Stealth with a 28-inch Mast.
Signature foil.
Signature foil, yes.
What about you, Jeff?
So I'm on a 50 by 27 by 4.5 82-liter custom Jimmy Lewis, and it's a F1 5-meter wing, and then the foil is a Go foil. Either I'm on a 240 if the wind's light, or a 210 if the wind's stronger. I'd rather ride the 210 in waves because it keeps up with the wave better, but it's always a trade-off having enough wing to get up in light winds, and then also but you want it to be fast enough to keep up with the waves.
Right. So Jeff, tell us about this board that Daniel's using.
Yeah, so that's my old Starboard Ace subboard. I just chopped it all up and reshaped it into a wingboard, and it works pretty good. It's pretty thick, like 5 inches, but it's pretty short, 4.8, and then I think it's 27 or 28 wide. So it works perfect for a wingboard.
Yeah.
And Daniel rips on it.
So that used to be a 12.6 race board. It's
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
So Daniel, you're pumping a little bit. Is that because the wind is light, or what do you do?
Yes, I do some pumps, especially when the wind goes light and I'm trying to turn off the wave. So I keep the foil up. I just keep pumping, and then I grab my wing, go the other way, and kind of pump my foil and the wing at the same time, so I can keep going. Because you can see this wind this day, this wind is kind of light. Gets lighted sometimes.
Yeah. So, and then the gear I'm on is I have a 5.2 Carver foil board. It's a 54-liter volume Blue Planet Carver board, and then I have a Blue Planet Carver foil with the 1580 wing on it. So it's kind of a bigger wing. I usually use something a little bit smaller, but yeah, because the wind was kind of light that day, I was using a bigger wing. And there's Jeff filming from the water. And then the wing I'm using is a 5-meter duotone with the boom, which I really like having that boom. And here we have a few little jumps, and just kind of want to talk a little bit about jumping. Here I'm coming down pretty hard, not even close to landing it. And we went last week with, there's this young kid from the North Shore of Oahu. He loads up on the jump, carves upwind, and really kind of hangs in the air. He's like floating, and he comes down pretty soft. So I was trying to kind of emulate what he was doing, trying to on the jumps. So you want to talk a little bit about jumps, Daniel?
Yeah, so I'm still figuring out the jumps also, and landing, because it can take a lot out of you on the landing. Noticing how Malaya is doing it, like staying up in the wind rather than going with the wind and drifting down, and then there's a lot of impact. So trying to figure those jumps out also.
Yeah, having a soft landing is tricky, and yeah, I think he just has so much momentum, upwind momentum, that he can kind of hang in the air and then kind of almost like parachute down on the wing. Versus I think the way we're doing it is we just kind of go up and then crash back down, come down pretty hard on the landing. So I think that's the trick, is to just have like a little bit softer landings. But yeah, here I'm pumping a little bit too, and then but what I find a lot of times, once you turn around and you're on the wave, then you got plenty speed from the wave, so then you don't need as much wind once you're riding. And this day it had some really nice waves, so we were getting plenty of waves, but sometimes I think the wind was kind of light, more on the light side. So But yes, and some of the other questions that a lot of people were asking us was, what kind of gear to use, and I wanted to talk about that too, going bigger on the wings. So we're in this video. I think we're all using 5-meter wings, and I know you, Daniel, you recently bought a 6-meter ozone as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the 6-meter wing and using a bigger wing when it gets lighter?
So when the winds go pretty light and I'm pretty desperate to get out and wing almost every day, I use the 6-meter, but sometimes in the surf, the 6-meter wing gets in the way, the tips, because it's so big, and it's easily touches the water and goes and folds underneath your board. Seems like you can't angle the wing as much to power it up because the wings just touch. That's what I'm finding with that 6-meter wing. I mean, the 5 is really good, but the 4 would be even better, but you get less power.
Yeah, with the bigger wing, it's harder to do the transitions and flip it over your head and stuff. So, like the biggest one I use is a 5, and I weigh 185. So I weigh more than Daniel, and I was gonna get a 6, but I resisted. So usually what I do instead is I just put on a larger front foil wing, and then that seems to be the same as sizing up one size on the wind wing. It's slower. The large foil wing is slower, but I think it's better than you can make it work rather than having to deal with such a huge sail.
Yeah, I find that too. Like the size of the foil makes a big difference. If you can pump yourself up with a fairly low speed, and once you get going, then you kind of create your own wind, right? So you get pressure in the wing as soon as you're up on the foil. So then you don't need as much wing. And then sometimes when you have a really big wing, it's actually can be a little bit harder to get going because it kind of gets in the way. It's so big that it touches the water easier and stuff like that. But yeah, like I've noticed, Daniel, you've been getting pretty good at tacking. You want to give some pointers on that, like how to do a tack?
A lot of the tacking how I learned it was flat water, these places that we go, and a lot of wind and just flat water places, no waves, and I just practice in there.
Nice jump.
All my whatever tricks that we try to do, we just practice. So I kind of go into it like on my toe side, and then I put the wing over my head, and just switching all my hand grips to going back out on my heel side. So yeah, it's kind of tricky, and now I'm trying to learn the heel side, and that's even harder.
Yeah, the heel side tack is pretty
Tacking.
tricky. So yeah, I guess one of the tricks I find is that you kind of just want to turn through the wind pretty quick. You don't want to slow down, and then get the wing pulling you the other way as quickly as possible. I guess here you were trying to do a tack. But yeah, it's not an easy move, but it is. Once you kind of get the hang of it, I think it's just as, for me now, it's just as easy as doing a jibe really. And then you don't go downwind as much, so you don't lose as much ground on the inside. And if you're going if you're carving up the face, then it's kind of an easy way to just kick out of it and go back out again.
Yeah, it's a super efficient way to make a transition, especially in the waves. Like you said, you don't lose ground. I found that the ones that I do make, when I put the wing over my head and get it over, I try to push it forward also into the wind, because sometimes if you have it too far aft in relation to where your body is, then it just pulls you back. So for me, the key was just making sure the sail's forward, like throwing it forward at the same time you throw it over your head.
Yeah. I mean, actually, one thing I noticed about the duotone, it has a lot of kind of V. You can see the V in the wing, and I think that's kind of what makes it really unstable when I'm surfing it. So I have to really control it when I'm surfing it. But an advantage of that shape is that it kind of flips over really easy. Like when I put it over my head, it kind of comes over really smoothly, and then it doesn't like stall over my head. It kind of tick-tocks from one side to the other, and I think with the flat wings, that that are real neutral, and when they luff, it's a little bit harder because they don't flip over as much. So you have to actually kind of almost push it over onto the other side to pull you out of the tack.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Whereas the duotone, I think it almost automatically kind of flips over to the other side, which I think maybe makes tacking actually a little bit easier with the duotone. Is my theory, anyways. I don't know if there's anything to it, but I think I'm gonna tack out of it, and then yeah, it doesn't stall over your head. It kind of keeps flipping over to the other side. And then here I wanted to mention, like when you're going out through whitewater, the bubbles in the water and that whitewash, you really feel it on your foil, right? It makes the foil really handle weird. This gets all warbly and turbulent. Yeah. So here I just ended up jiving to avoid having to go through the whitewater again. But yeah. So do you guys have any tips on that, going through kind of that whitewash?
Sometimes, sometimes when I get stuck inside over here, I just like right there, I'm sitting down inside the waves. You don't have to panic. What you do is just sit there and you just hold the kite so it goes over the foam, and then you can be pretty safe. And if the foam's really giant, you can sit there and then throw it up over the foam, so you get it out of the way. The main thing is don't let the wing get caught by the wave, and then you can hold on to your board usually through the foam. And then, but yeah, just the key I think is to get up quickly once you're stuck inside and try to get out as fast as you can. And like you said, try to stay out of that really white type of water. Maybe go to the side and get in some cleaner water.
Yeah, that's been the trouble for me lately. I've been getting stuck. I go as far in as I can and I come back out, and if I fall down or eat it, I get stuck in there and the sets come, and I just pray because it's the second time that happened to me. I'm trying to get up and get out of there quickly, but the whitewash is just coming at me, and I kind of let go the kite or the wing and try to dip my board, but I can't dip it, so it pulls the wing and it stretches the leash out, and so my leash goes to from like 6 feet to like 10 feet and never recoils. And so I'm stuck with a long leash. But yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, like what should I do, and I think Jeff has a good technique right there. Maybe just start trying the wing over the whitewash.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't really do that. I mean, and I get a lot of questions about my leash. Like I don't really like using a coil leash or even a straight leash on the board, because it always does end up dragging in the water quite a bit, Mm-hmm. So, and then the coil leashes always get stretched out. So the leash I'm using is a retracting leash that I have as a waist leash that basically fully retracts, so it never drags in the water, which I like. And then, but it does come out like 10 feet, plus it has a shock cord on it, so it comes out like 12 feet. And an advantage of that is the leash on the wing is a little bit shorter, so if I'm in a wave, my board leash gets pulled way out, so it kind of keeps the board and the wing apart. The wing stays closer to me and the board kind of goes further away, and it's all away from me, so it's not going to come back quickly and hit me or whatever. And you definitely don't want a board leash that's too short, because the board can kind of recoil back towards you, and you don't want especially the tail wing, the back edge of the tail wing is pretty sharp, so you don't want that coming at your head or something like that at full speed and after you get worked. So I really like that retracting leash. It's a little bit more expensive and bulky, but I think it's I think everybody who tries it, it's hard to go back after you try the retracting leash. So what else? Water depth and mast length and stuff like that. I mean, this is one of those spots too where when you go out, it can be kind of tricky if you have a really long mast. And I like using the long mast, but going out, sometimes you do touch the bottom and stuff like that. So what do you guys use for mast length?
Daniel, I was using a 24-inch Mast, and then I went to the 28 because I seen Jeff and Robert, and they're my idols. So I'm gonna go longer and try to be like them, you know. And I feel the longer Masts, you touch down less for me. You get more time to stay up on foil longer and switch your wing to jibe going back out.
Yeah, that's kind of a happy medium. I know Rob uses super long Mast sometimes, and then that is a disadvantage over here because there's coral heads that you have to skim over. So the 28 seems to be a happy medium between long and short. The 28 is easier to get out of the water if you're trying to jump, but then Malai's using, what is he using, a 36?
I think his is 36, and that's my long Mast is about like that too. I think it's 96 centimeters, which is almost 36 inches.
Yeah, and he has no problem jumping that thing out of the water, so
yeah,
there goes that theory.
Yeah, I mean my shorter Mast, that's the one I'm using here, is 30 inches, and then my long one is almost 36 inches, and I think, yeah, I just really like it. But right here, I wanted Jeff to talk about switching his stance.
Yeah, so now every time I jibe on the outside, I switch to goofy. And then I ride all the way in goofy, and right before I catch the wave, I switch back to regular. It's just more relaxing on the body. You're not twisted up ever. So I've gotten pretty good at switching and jumping around both ways. And so I like doing that just because my body gets more relaxed or not as worked all the time. And then also your back leg doesn't get as tired yet because you're constantly switching which leg is the back leg. So, but yeah, it does take practice because it's awkward at first to go switch.
Yeah, so Daniel and I are usually just riding with our foot straps in one, or our feet in one place, not really moving around much. So, but it's something I'm working on too, trying to, with the bigger board and a bigger foil, switching my stance back and forth. And I find it really tricky actually to ride with my other foot forward, but in getting it slowly, and just in flat water I can do it. So yeah, this is pretty much the footage we have from this session. And just to mention, we don't name the spots where we are, just out of respect to the locals, and if we just don't want to post it on YouTube exactly where we're going. But most people that know, or most people that live on Oahu will recognize these spots from just the landmarks and stuff like that. But yeah, that's, also if you ask where it is, we're not going to answer that question in the comments. So just so you know, this is actually another different session, and this was an even lighter wind day, where we ended up, I think, having a hard time getting back in actually. But yeah, like if you're on Oahu, you probably know where this is, right? All right, so that's the footage we have for today. We'll have another video next weekend, next Saturday. We'll do another voiceover, and we'll talk about some more topics on tips and topics and gear to use and how to ride waves and all that kind of stuff. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.